perceived or alleged criminal offenders. The minute the distinguishing features of the civilian population in question are defined through the application of subjective criteria, the targeting process becomes completely random. The targeted civilians are perceived criminals, but perceived to be so by whom? Is it not the case that one man's despicable criminal is another person's righteous saint? In fact, have we not heard from the civil society that many of the victims were not drug pushers or criminals, but innocent members of the local community? To me, and as a matter of logic, it would appear that the targeted population in the Duterte case was selected randomly, even according to the prosecution's own witnesses, who talk about quotas of neutralization that had to be met, and their motives for target selection, which had frequently nothing to do with suspected criminality, but rather personal vendetta, or on one occasion, just because the victim had cheated at cards. With that, Madam President, Your Honours, I conclude the chapeau or contextual requirements of crimes against humanity. And I will now turn to the modes of liability or means of perpetration. Now, I have racked my brain for many a month pondering one question. If Rodrigo Duterte was so shamelessly brazen as to broadcast his murderous intent in public ever since he was the mayor of Davao, why did it take the ICC prosecution almost 4 years to open an investigation after Rodrigo Duterte pulled his country out of the International Criminal Court? After all, why did the ICC prosecution not just save itself all the hassle of its jurisdictional problem, a fundamental issue that still plagues it and remains to be resolved by the appeals chamber? We won't talk about that today, obviously. But why did the prosecution not seek to initiate its official investigation within the 1-year withdrawal period, especially given the fact that Mr. Karim Khan, the victim's representative embedded in the role of chief prosecutor, had received judicial authorization to interview at least one of the criminal cooperating witnesses substantiating the crimes of the Davao mayoral period? Well, for me at any rate, it didn't take too long for the penny to drop. As I mentioned in my opening statement, the prosecution knows that it is not enough simply to assert that Rodrigo Duterte said outrageous things and that deaths occurred, and so, as a result, he must be criminally responsible. There is a requirement for what is called a causal nexus. The prosecution has to show which one of Duterte's statements, orders, or commands were given to a specific individual who then went out and pulled the trigger or communicated the command to someone else who also went out and pulled the trigger, killing one of its 78 identified victims. That would have been the classical way to prove a causal link between stuff that came out of Rodrigo Duterte's mouth and the deaths pertinent to the case. That would have been ordering under Article 25(3)(b). But the prosecution cannot show such a causal link. They've never been able to do that. They show you a lovely pyramid. It's on the screen, with Duterte at the top, the co-perpetrators underneath, the DDS handlers underneath them, and the hitmen perpetrators at the very bottom. To quote Mr. Julian Nichols, how cute. But what the learned prosecutors can't show you is the connecting line between Duterte at the top and the next level down, compromising.
I tried a ton of AI work tools. Then I tried Monday.com. Game over. Monday.com is super easy to use and knows how to do AI right. I use it for insights and action suggestions constantly, especially on those back-to-back meeting days. And my team used Monday Sidekick to work up all kinds of marketing content for the different platforms. So stuff that takes my team hours is now done before they even open their laptop. All these AI features are built directly into Monday.com and actually use our real data. With Monday.com, AI isn't some over-promising future. It's here. It just works. Like, actually saves us time and resources kind of works.
Monday Sidekick, AI you'll love to use. Start a free trial today at Monday.com.
Obligation. But as they know, not one of the 49 incidents mentioned in the document containing the charges manifests such a causal link between a speech, an order, and one of the charged incidents. I will state it for the record. In fact, I will state it a number of times during my submissions. There is no smoking gun in this case. And that is not for want of a desperate attempt to find one on the part of the prosecution with all president to go out all those speeches where the former president made various threats to kill, but not one demonstrable incident set out in the prosecution's document containing the charges, which detail this. Any reasonable bystander observing the conduct of these proceedings, that Rodrigo Duterte is innocent of these charges leveled at him. For this reason, and because of complete lack of reliable witnesses, that the prosecution has not one, but a plethora of theories as to the means of perpetration to the person and who has been targeted for prosecution. And I say targeted for prosecution. Normally, I would say that such a